Hey, welcome back to God's Autobiography. My name is Stephen French, which I keep saying that. I always introduce myself to a series of videos that I only expect me to watch. So like if like Alzheimer's is something that I'm gonna get, and if it kicks in super hard, then like I will not forget my name apparently. But episode 21, for a lot of these videos so far, they're not like super important. Some of them are good times for me, but just still kind of getting into, I don't know, only done with the first fifth of these. There's gonna be a lot of stories, so there's gonna be a lot of filler episodes, I guess. Somewhat hesitant have I been to kind of dive into things that are a little more important to me, a little bit more personal, a little bit more serious. So figured we should start, I guess, now maybe. Today I kind of wanted to talk about the first time that I fell in love, the first time that I had my heart broken, the first time I was ever properly happy, and the first time I was ever properly sad. And for all the good behind it, it kind of sucked, and I still have no idea if it was worth it. But I guess here we go. I was living on campus at Stony Brook University on Long Island, where I went to school. Now, what was really peculiar is I had seen this girl around campus, who my sweet mate and I had coined Kelly Fish Girl, because there was we lived in Kelly Quad, and we had our own like little food court. Like, I don't know, Kelly Dining was one of the better spots on campus, and there's a little fish market there. And this is where we just kept happening to see this girl just around this area. Absolutely stunning. I had never, like, the kind of person that I saw in, like, she stuck out. So if I ever saw her around campus, she was like really easy to point out, not even looking for her, just like, it's like, wow, there's that girl that I will never have the courage to talk to. It's fucking gorgeous. I saw her for like a year or two just around campus. Like, I tried my best. It wasn't stalkery in any sense. It was more just happened to notice. But yeah, just someone that I saw that was attractive, that I was almost certain I would never speak to. Till one day, I was taking a Taekwondo class on campus, and I had taken the class for maybe, I think it might have been like a week or so at the time. And I go into the class, and Kelly Fish Girl was sitting on the floor warming up. So my initial thought was like, oh, maybe she did like a class that's in this room before, and like maybe our paths will cross. But that's neat. I was dating somebody at the time, and I have zero interest in ruining something like that. I was actually in the middle of a failing relationship. It was my first, I guess, actual relationship, but this girl was moving back to Michigan. She didn't want to stay on Long Island. She didn't want to stay in New York. I had no interest in moving to Michigan, so we were just kind of together until the end of the semester. We'd kind of talked it through, and even though like it was a temporary relationship, I won't do that to somebody else. So I had no interest, but I thought it was interesting that just our paths were crossing. Turns out she was taking Taekwondo. She did pretty well at it, pretty impressed. And after Taekwondo, which is a hard fucking class. I had some like massive, gnarly blood blisters on my feet from that class. But she'd go and like run 3 miles at the gym. Like, this girl was crazy. Turns out she's like hella smart, fucking super active, really driven, really determined, really neat. But I was dating somebody. We started talking. She was dating somebody. But it was cool. It was kind of a neat thing, because I don't have, I guess, a lot of confidence, and to kind of see somebody like that, like brilliantly attractive, and be able to speak with her, it was kind of a win for me. I don't know. I guess I'm a little pathetic in that sense. But time went on. Semester ended. My relationship ended. And I don't know if it was the next summer. I don't really know how or why or when we started talking again, but we did. And it turns out she wasn't in that relationship anymore. I wasn't in a relationship. I had just kind of had some weird housing issues. Like, I was living off campus with some friends in Rocky Point, like a few towns over from campus. One of the guys there stopped paying rent. The landlord wouldn't send a lease over to us anymore. So my old suite mates put me up on their couch for a little while on a house like just off campus. So I was there. We just started hanging out a little bit more, going to the movies from time to time. And it was blowing my mind. It was neat, and we were clicking pretty well. I kind of grew up with this odd fantasy that I would only fall in love once, and I had never at this point like felt that emotion. Like the relationship before that, again, like my first relationship was in college. It was only a few months long. Like it didn't get very serious. It kind of quickly got pretty serious with this girl, with Kelly Fish girl. Started staying over at each other's place from time to time, and where we really bonded was during Hurricane Sandy. On Long Island, we had about 8 days of no power, and we had a wood stove at our place, so she'd stay with me on the couch there. I'd stay with her, and we just grab some wine, and we drink. Not very much. Like I didn't even get drunk until like after the first few times that would happen. Some American honey wild turkey. It was fun. It was we'd just have like some wine. We'd drink wine, go to sleep, and then one day we decided to get whiskey. I drank like half a bottle of wild turkey and some of her Jameson. And I remember my first drunk thought, like we were just sitting on our bed drinking, and I stood up to go to the bathroom. I was like, shit, I gotta pee sitting down this time. That was my first drunk thought, and it was really amusing to me. But things were great. I had kind of found out, she wasn't dating somebody else, but there was another guy who was like on deployment or something, and like they were, I still don't fucking know, like it got worse later on, but she kind of was faced with an ultimatum, I guess, of pursuing that guy or pursuing me, and it was her choice to make. For some silly fucking reason, she chose me, and then things started to get a little bit hectic in the whole life sense. I was somewhat overstaying my welcome on the couch. It was hard for me to find a place, and her landlord was just this really atrocious human being. Like he would complain to her that she would have me over, even though it was her studio apartment. He had complained that she would get home too late and she would shine lights into the house. So when we went there one day, she turned off the headlights before pulling in. And then the next day said, one of the neighbors said, you were driving with your headlights off. That's not safe. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, why are you paying attention to that? He'd complained that she'd get home late and it would turn on the motion light by the garbage cans. So she just flipped the switch. There's no reason to have that light on. It was just by her door. The next day I had a note on the door saying, like, you can't have that light off. It needs to be on. I was like, well, then don't complain that it's on. A really, really creepy guy, and he had given her a text saying that a smoke alarm went off. He had to go into the apartment to turn it off. Seemed like bullshit, but she said okay. And he found the bottles of wine. Now, she was 20 at the time, which I maybe shouldn't admit that I was drinking with a 20-year-old, but prove it. He said, you're not allowed to have alcohol, I'm evicting you, which I don't even know if it's grounds for eviction. There was just empty bottles in the apartment. I'm kind of confused by the whole situation. But yeah, she was getting evicted. I needed a place to stay. And for a little while we were working out, trying to get a place like with some of my close homies down there, and me and Liz tried to split a place all together. They bailed out of that. And we landed on an opportunity for an apartment in Port Jeff, which, like all things considered, I was stoked about. I was quickly, madly in love with this girl. And I had this really odd fantasy that I could fall in love once. Like my father he's on his fourth wife. I've kind of long since known that a lot of his aspects of life I didn't want to follow in my relationship, like history. I didn't want to look like his at all. I don't know. It was in many ways golden. I was so stoked. We checked out this apartment. We were seemingly madly in love, and I was just stoked. Everything was working out really, really well. Now, I don't really know what order to go with, but we were going to move in on the 1st of January 2013. And if anyone remembers, right before that, we had December 21st, 2012, supposed to be the end of the world, I guess the Mayan calendar reset or whatever. So as a tricker with a silly sense of humor, in the company of many trickers with silly senses of humor, they had thrown a gathering, Dreadnought End of the World gathering in Brooklyn for that night, so we could all die together doing our flips. She was going to go upstate and spend some time with her family. I was going to go to the gathering, and then chill on the island. We were going to meet up on the 1st at the apartment. God, I should have planned out the order of operations, because I don't know, like the shit that happened early on, and we ended up being together for a while after. So yeah, we'll skip some. we get to the apartment, we move in. I had 2 cats. Did I have them? No, I didn't have them yet. She had a cat that her grandfather had rescued. Oliver is like fucking mangled arm, cute little crippled cat. So scared. We fucking had the hardest time. Moved him into the apartment. He just shut down. He wouldn't leave the litter box. She would sleep on the floor in the living room, in the laundry room with him to try to give him like some comfort. But then I went upstate once, and my mom's cat had a litter of kittens, and she said, "Do not fall in love with a cat." And you can't tell me that. I'm gonna fall in love with every fucking cat I see. I don't have to keep them all, but I'm gonna goddamn try. But I definitely fell in love with a cat. This cat who we ended up naming Toby, and she came up to pick me up and see my family, and she also fell in love with Toby. And there was only one more kitten in the litter, who ended up being Lulu. We could not separate the two. Fucking this cute ass tabby, black or darkish tabby, striped. I think it's tabby. I don't know how many colors you need for that. But Toby is fucking adorable and so like social and cute. And then Lulu was a little shy, just pitch black cat, and perfect litter mates. They loved each other. We loved them both. They were great in the car the whole ride down from upstate New York to Long Island. They were great. Our little family was just like growing. I already had a little bunny from when I lived at Rocky Point, and this little BMO, a little English dwarf. He's about this big, full-grown, fucking cute litter train. Just roamed the apartment and loved it. So we now have a bunny. We've got Ollie. We've got Toby. We've got Lulu. We've got us in this apartment. And for the longest time, we didn't even have a bed. We kind of broke the bed at our apartment, so we just had like a mattress on the floor. We've got some couches. We had a full couch and a love seat, and we'd push them together at night, and we made a bed out of that. Like for the longest time, we could have gotten a bed. We could have afforded a bed. I don't know why we didn't. It was fine. And so every night we'd push the couches together. We'd sleep on that, and in the morning we'd separate them back to living room status. We let Ollie take the whole bedroom so he could be comfortable, and he and Toby kind of clung together. So like that actually helped that cat break out of his shell. And God, a while later, her same grandfather rescued a kitten, but like maybe 2 weeks old. Sorry, there's a lot of traffic on the other side of that wall that you can't see. But he finds this little kitten, and fucking tiny white and gray furry little fluff. And her grandfather is like, "I'm just gonna feed it with a spoon and it'll be fine. I got a cat." It's like, no, you can't. Like, you're going to kill this thing in a week because it's not gonna know how to eat. So like we had the idea that we'll take it, we'll raise it until it's a little bit older, we'll put in the hard work, and then when it can go to somebody like her grandfather, then we'll give it back. Now, I actually didn't know this about cats. For the first while in their life, they don't know how to shit. Like I've noticed before, and I've questioned why like a litter of kitten, like they don't travel anywhere yet their shit and their piss is not existent. Mama cats actually lick them to stimulate them. So she just eats their shit and drinks their piss. It's kind of nasty. But without that stimulation, they won't go, and they'll pretty much just blow up. So every 2 hours, we had to take this little kitten, we had to hold it over the sink, and we had to do the human equivalent of licking its butthole. So just take like a wet cotton swab and wipe its ass until it starts to shit in the sink. It was really fucking weird. So we'd feed it with a syringe every 2 fucking hours. We'd shit it at the same time. We'd sleep in shifts, so one of us could sleep for 4 hours while the other one took that 2 hours to shit the cat, and then we'd alternate. We were also going to school, so we'd have to like drive back to shit this cat. It was a wild time. It was a really hard time, and we were a power team with it. And we had added on Ezra to our little family. He got so long so fast, and he didn't get any like thickness to him, but he had this fucking fluffy coat. It was this like fluff, long, scrawny, adorable fucking kitten. Couldn't give him back to your grandfather. There was no fucking way. You wipe a cat's ass for too many weeks. We did that for way longer than we should have. We didn't know how long we had to. When we found out, I was like, "Yeah, you could have stopped like a month ago." God damn it. But we raised this kitten up to help, and we kept it, and it was precious. We had our own like little family. Now, I don't remember at what point in these, again, like we lived with each other for a little over 2 years. I don't remember at what point things started to go bad, but I remember that they got pretty bad. One thing that I really liked about this girl is the guy that she was dating before we met. She still had him in her life, which is cool that you can, like, usually that can't happen, so it was cool to see an example that it could. I was okay with them talking. Obviously, like, I'm not that kind of person by any means. He would text, and like I'm sure everybody has this, where if you see a phone go off, you can be holding your phone, but if another phone goes off, you look at it and like, oh, that's not my phone. You go back to yours. It's just a weird human inability that we've developed. But she would get texts from this guy, and she would like open her phone, and she'd be like sitting on my lap, just respond right in front of me. If I wanted, I could read everything, and it was uncomfortable to read any of it because it's not my conversation. But I really appreciated that transparency. And after a while, I'm really observant with this kind of stuff, I guess. I don't mean to be, and it turns out it kind of sucks to be. But after a while, I would see the same type of text, phone go off, I look over, it's like, oh, it's all right. But then it wouldn't get answered, or it would if she was sitting far enough away, or she would answer it and kind of turn to the side. And just these subtle notions. She wouldn't answer the calls if I was around. And during that winter break, right before we moved in together, I could tell if she was with him, because that was the only time she wouldn't say I love you. Like, that was the only time. If she was around her family, she would like, I love you, goodbye, good night, whatever. If she was around him, she wouldn't. And I noticed it. I kind of called her out on it a little bit. But I get this really, I don't know, bad feeling every time these little things occur. And it starts to dig at me, it starts to hurt. And I don't know how to bring it up. I should have brought it up better, but I didn't really bring it up at all, I guess. But this one day in particular, we're both on her laptop, we're looking at something. She gets a message on Facebook from this guy. Now, this girl's a much faster reader than I am. Most people are probably faster readers than I am. And she opens up this like big ass paragraph, this little short story, and then just like shuts the laptop. I don't even know if she closed it, like just fucking, or closed Facebook, just fucking like, nope, shut. Now, the only thing I could think is like, one, I didn't try to read that, but two, if I did, like there's no fucking way she read that whole thing in a second. Like, and she just closed it so quick, and it was so like, oh no, like very, I don't know, very peculiar, extremely unlike her, at least extremely unlike how she used to be. And I knew who it was from, and it was the same person that she was very transparent with, that she was now kind of very secretive with. And I really couldn't handle that. I learned a lot about myself in that experience. I was kind of freaking out. But soon after, she closes it. She had to get ready. She was going to go have dinner with her grandparents. And it just ate at me. It just ate at me for a while. And I opened the laptop. I shouldn't have. I opened the laptop to see what it was. And I don't know if the laptop was password locked or she was logged out of Facebook. Couldn't see it. At least couldn't see it easily. So just thinking of my options. How can I bring it up? What is it? Is it nothing? It's probably nothing. Why am I concerned? And then kind of flashing back, maybe there's reason to be concerned. You never want to assume the worst in somebody, especially somebody that you're in love with. You don't want to admit that you can be deceived by somebody that you care about. And it got really bad. One of my least proud moments is that I hacked that password. I'm good with computers. I understand that most people aren't very safe with their password protections. I could not handle it, and it got to me, and I would definitely feel worse about this if I was wrong, but I do feel bad about it. But I figured out the password. It was easy to do. I logged in, and the first sentence was this guy thanking her for making love to him while they were together during Christmas break. That same break, she dropped me off in the city. She goes upstate. She won't say she loves me around him, and they were fucking. And then continued to talk to him. Like, I don't know, we were together for a little while at the house before I figured out. I don't know how long. I think it was earlier in our relationship, but we had been together for a while. In like our house, apartment rather. Yeah, it was fucked. One thing that bothered me in particular is before this, like after we're living together, after she had done this, but before I had found out, she had asked, because like her and his family used to go on a lot of like vacations or trips together to different states on like camping adventures, whatever it was. She said, if I ever wanted to go with him and his family on something, would you let me go? And I said, I would definitely be like uncomfortable about it, but of course I would let you go. Like, I trust you. And God, I hope that hurt. I hope that hurt for her to hear it, because I did. That was my true response. Like, I don't know. But she, her excuse for why this happened, because like the letter also said like, I can't wait until we're together again. And she said that he had just bugged her a lot and consistently just said like, one more time kind of thing and I'll leave you alone. Which I never believed from her. Even if he said it, that's not why she did it, because she was still, in a way, planning other trips. She was still communicating with him. If it was one more time, then it would have been one more time. Like, either he would have left her alone, or she would have like forced that outcome, as that was the agreed upon fuck conditions. But it was one of the worst things that happened to me. Still, I sent her a picture of that message. I don't know if I handled that the right way. I don't think I should have. Maybe I should wait until she got home, but I couldn't handle it. And she just, I have no idea. She was definitely panicked, definitely some adrenaline. She just seemed really uncomfortable because she got caught. Like, I don't know if that was the only thing, but that's all I could rationalize with. And she gets back to the apartment, and I couldn't let her touch me. I didn't want her to see me. I didn't want to see her. I had nowhere else to go. So unfortunately, I was still at the house. I should have left. I should not have been around. There was one moment where I had moved and she flinched like pretty badly. And I was confused, like, what is that? And like, she's like, I'm sorry, I thought you were gonna hit me. And I just remember for the first time being like really mad or really hurt. I said, why the fuck would I hit you? Like that's not, I was offended. Like, that's not my personality. Like, I don't care how bad this was. That's not who I am. I'm not gonna strike someone for that. Like, I don't care what you do to me. Like, you have to hit me first, or you've got to make me think you're about to hit me for me to hit you. God, I hope that hurt too, because maybe it was warranted. I still wasn't gonna hit her, but maybe she had reason to think that she had it coming. What sucks is probably the worst part about this. I had told myself prior that I would never trust somebody again after something like this. I would never let somebody do this to me and then give them the opportunity to hurt me again. But for some reason, being madly in love with her, belief that love only comes. Let me see what that is. I don't know what that said. I hope that this doesn't break. Wow, longest one so far. Well, I'm gonna clip the video because I don't know what that was. My bad. I'll try to be quick with the rest. I didn't think that I would ever forgive somebody for anything like that, and I tried. I tried really, really fucking hard. It got to the point where she gave me all her passwords for everything. She wanted to be transparent. She wanted me to be able to trust her, and I still found myself checking. I hated myself every single time that I did. But the first time I checked, I was right. I was in a way right to check, because I had something to find that I wouldn't have found out about before, that I really should have found out about. She should have told me that that's the way that it should have. Well, it shouldn't have happened, but the next best situation, she should have told me. She should have taken those consequences. The next mistake is that I should have left her after that. I deserve better, but I didn't think I could find better. God, I was like, part of me is still in love with who I thought she was, a really big part of me, because she's completely not. So it makes no sense. It's completely irrational for me to hold on to any emotional tie. But like, it just kept getting worse. I recall one time she had messaged me. Now that guy that was abroad when we started kind of seeing each other, that I didn't know if they were in a relationship, she, I guess she was still talking to him as well, kind of her MO. She had messaged me once saying, hey, this guy whose name I can't even fucking remember. It's like, he messaged me, I just wanted to give you a heads up. And I think he messaged her on Facebook, but fucking, she had never given me a heads up before. Like, this has been a while after. So I'm so fucking confused. And I check, there's no message on Facebook. So if she got it, she deleted it. So I go on the email, again, she gave me the password to that. And all I find in the deleted messages was a response saying, hey, I told you none of this on Facebook. Steven has my password. Or I gave Steven my password, whatever it was. like that, like deliberately trying to hide a conversation with somebody who's another like ex in the relationship. God, and I fucking still stayed with her. I don't know what's wrong with me at all. So we're living together. We're in this apartment. I have a broken motorcycle at the time. I'm working at a gymnastics center that's like a mile and a half away. I just walk to work because there's no reason to not. And not only is she resisting, like hesitant to remove the first guy from her life, she's hiding conversations with another guy. And from what I ended up reading or finding through there, and I still have no fucking clue what the relationship was, but I'm almost certain that they were engaged. Like around the time that we met, like not met in Taekwondo, but like by the time we started seeing each other, I don't think that they were like kind of in a relationship. I think they might have been engaged. I don't know. Some things that I read made it seem like that. I'm not really sure what to think of it. It's not something that I care. Like this isn't something I think about anymore. This is a story of my past. But we lived together for about 2 years, and I remember the day after Valentine's Day, I had made this cute ass custom like Valentine's Day like rip off card for, I don't know, like back rubs, dinner. Like it was this cutesy little book. Like you rip off these coupons. I made one. I thought it was really cute. I put a lot of work into it, and it's just a fun little craft to put together. And I didn't get anything. And I don't need presents, but put in a lot of work and I don't think I got a card or anything. But we had a bit of a fight one night, and I just thought it was easier to go sleep on the couch. It had only happened a couple of times before. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna sleep on the couch. And next morning she goes to work. She said, hey, we've got to talk when I get home. And I didn't know what that was about. Well, I had some ideas, but I didn't know which route it would take. She got back, and that's essentially when the relationship ended, but not at all for any of the reasons that I thought. Now this was like a long time of us living together, and me never quite forgiving her. She was right to leave me. She was wrong to stay in that relationship because you should not stay with somebody that doesn't trust you. I was wrong to stay in that relationship because you should not stay in a relationship with someone that doesn't deserve your trust. And that is how I see her, someone that does not deserve my trust. But what happened was she left me for somebody on the internet that she had never met. We had Twitch streaming channels together, and we would mostly play this game Smite. This girl had never really played video games before, and she always wanted to, and I got her into the world, into the culture, and we were streaming, and she was damn good at games, and that's one of the main things we did together. Like, fucking loved gaming with this girl. She's awesome, quick to learn, fun to play with, great to stream with, just a great time. And we had a guy in our channel who was a moderator for both of our channels. This kid lived in fucking Canada. We didn't know him. He was a little younger than us. We'd never met him, but he was chill. And she had shown me messages, like he was having a hard time in life, and he was so grateful for the both of us, saying like that he really appreciated like her and me, and that we were a great couple together, and like a motivation to him. And that was awesome. It was really nice. But she left me for him, and she had, within like the first week of us being apart, she might have even bought it before, but I think like a week after or 2 weeks after, some short amount of time, she had already acquired a plane ticket to go see him. But I lived there for about a month after we split, and every single day I would come home, and she would be in the living room where her PC was set up, and she'd be playing this game with that guy. She'd be playing like our game with that guy that she just left me for. And every single day I'd get home from work, I'd hope that she wasn't there. She'd be there. I was sleeping on the couch. I had to be in the living room. I would put down my stuff, and I would turn around and I would leave. There was 2 Dunkin' Donuts near our house, one of them pretty close, one of them about 3 miles away. So my nightly routine is I would get there, I would put down my stuff, and I would just walk and cry to Dunkin' Donuts. 3 miles there, get a coffee, run out of tears, walk back and drink that. And then every fucking day for about a month, until I eventually found what became Beastwood. I moved in with one tricker, a few other guys, and just kind of changed my life from there. But one of the most depressed months of my life, unfortunately not the most. But yeah, that girl introduced me to happiness, to real, I don't know if I can call it true given hindsight, but real proper happiness. Some really like painful smiles that I shared with her. And then she opened the door to hell and just showed me about exactly how far down that slope goes. Which is why I'm not sure if I'm grateful for the opportunity, because I've found out how to be happier as a result. I've come way above. I've now been happier than I ever was with her in my life. I found a way to be sadder than she had ever put me, but I don't know if I needed it then. I should have done things more in hindsight. I won't trust somebody again, even if for some reason I convince myself that they deserve it. I hope that I can stick true to the notion that I deserve better than having to re-earn that in somebody. And like the icing on the cake, a few years later, right before I moved to Colorado, she was moving out of state as well for grad school. And I don't know why, but we started hooking up, which was great. She was still incredibly hot. I had no ability to become attached to her. I didn't think she had any interest in being attached to me, but we were good at what we did. So we were hanging out for a while, and I got to see these cats, which meant a lot. It meant a lot that I got to see these cats. And before she left, she said she was leaving the next day. She's like, I'm gonna stop by in the morning so you can say goodbye to the cats, because they would all be in her car. And I really appreciated that. And then the next day around like noon, I sent her a text and she's like, oh shit, I'm so sorry, I forgot. I was like, fuck you. You didn't forget. You just used me for the last bit and then peaced out. Fucking bitch. But yeah. Watch out for who you fall in love with, Stephen. Don't fall for that again. Don't do that. First sad story of God's autobiography. There's not very many of them, but they don't get better. All right. Let's see what happens tomorrow.